In the late 15th century, Europe was a continent gripped by an insatiable hunger for the fabled riches of the East. The spices, silks, and jewels of India and beyond trickled in through the ancient Silk Road, a lifeline controlled by rival Venetian and Ottoman powers who charged exorbitant prices. For the ambitious seafaring nation of Portugal, this was an unacceptable reality. King Manuel I envisioned a new path, a daring sea route that would curve around the vast, unknown continent of Africa and open a direct channel to the wealth of the Indies. It was a dream bordering on madness, a voyage into the abyss from which no one had ever returned. For this monumental task, a leader of exceptional grit and unwavering resolve was needed. The man chosen was not a famed scholar or a gentle diplomat, but a stern, ruthless nobleman known for his unbending will, Vasco da Gama. In July of 1497, da Gama's modest fleet of 4 ships, including the iconic São Gabriel and São Rafael, departed from the shores of Lisbon. They were not mere explorers, they were the point of a spear, a declaration of intent to shatter the old world's trade monopolies. The journey south was a brutal trial by water. They battled monstrous Atlantic storms that threatened to splinter their wooden vessels and send them to the depths. The crew, a mix of hardened sailors and condemned criminals, faced the creeping horror of scurvy, a disease that rotted their gums and drained their strength. Many began to whisper of mutiny, their courage failing against the vast, unforgiving ocean. But da Gama's iron will prevailed. He crushed dissent without hesitation, reminding his men that their only path was forward. After months of hardship, they achieved what many thought impossible. They rounded the treacherous Cape of Good Hope, the southernmost tip of Africa, and sailed into the uncharted waters of the Indian Ocean. Navigating the eastern coast of Africa proved to be a new kind of challenge. It was not a land of savages, but a vibrant network of sophisticated Swahili city-states and powerful Arab trading posts. In places like Mozambique and Mombasa, they were met with deep suspicion and open hostility. The Arab merchants who controlled the lucrative Indian Ocean trade saw the Portuguese not as customers, but as dangerous interlopers threatening their centuries-old dominance. Da Gama's response was characteristically brutal, using his ship's superior cannons to intimidate and punish any who opposed him. Finally, in the port of Malindi, fortune turned. Da Gama secured the services of a legendary Arab navigator, a pilot who knew the monsoon winds and the secret paths across the sea. With this crucial guidance, the Portuguese fleet made the final leap across the Indian Ocean. On May 20th, 1498, after nearly a year at sea, Vasco da Gama and his weary crew laid eyes on the coast of India. They had arrived at Calicut, the heart of the global spice trade. But their arrival was not the grand triumph they had imagined. The court of the Zamorin, the Hindu ruler of Calicut, was a place of immense wealth and ancient tradition. Da Gama, arrogant and culturally ignorant, presented his diplomatic gifts: simple striped cloth, wash basins, and strings of coral beads. To the Zamorin, accustomed to tributes of gold and silver, these were the offerings of a beggar, not an emissary of a great king. The court laughed. Humiliated and furious, da Gama found his attempts to establish a trading post blocked at every turn by the Zamorin's officials and the hostile whispers of Arab merchants. The mission teetered on the brink of failure. In a final, desperate act, da Gama reverted to force. He seized several local fishermen and nobles as hostages, refusing to release them until his ships were loaded with a precious cargo of pepper, cinnamon, and cloves. With his mission technically fulfilled but his diplomatic efforts in ruins, he began the treacherous journey home. The return voyage was even more horrific than the first. Battered by monsoons and ravaged by scurvy, da Gama lost more than half his crew, including his own brother. By the time his 2 remaining ships limped back into Lisbon in 1499, they were ghost ships. Yet, in the eyes of King Manuel, the mission was a spectacular success. The cargo of spices they brought back was worth 60 times the cost of the entire expedition. Vasco da Gama had torn the map of the world in 2 and redrawn it. He had opened the door to the east, paving the way for a Portuguese maritime empire and initiating centuries of European colonialism. His voyage was a triumph of navigation and endurance, but it was also a dark prelude to an era of conquest, a story of discovery written in both courage and blood. Subscribe.